As there's a drive in a deep left field by Castellanos, it will be.
Oh man, it's 8 o'clock.
And so that'll make it a.
I don't need the spotlight. I shine just fine.
Hi, I'm Karma, and yes, I am a bitch.
Brav Bros. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brav Bros, your favorite podcast from the bros for everybody, for whoever wants to listen. I am your co-host, Steele Russell, joined as always by Part 2 Magoo. What's up, dude?
Part 2 Magoo, getting right into it. We figured with the Audrey Hepburn party and everything else that's going on, this could be an easy two-parter because that Hepburn party was tumultuous. So we wanted to make sure that we had enough time to discuss everything for you.
Some would say hectic. You might say heptic.
Heptic. Yep.
Hepburn.
Sure.
Hepburn.
Nope. Just heptic.
I was trying to think of a way to say Meredith's bangs using Audrey Hepburn, but it's like Audrey Hepbangs, and that's just disrespectful to Audrey Hepburn.
Alibaba bangs.
They're Alibaba bangs,
Yep.
which, yeah. I mean, that's what they are. That's what this episode's going to be called now. Meredith wears Alibaba bangs. But we don't have time to waste. Let's get into part 2.
Hell yeah.
Mary put this together. I'm not sure if it's shade or just setting people up for failure. Because the way that the premise of this party, she's like, I want to see everyone's style because I love Audrey Hepburn. She had great style, which is true. She's timeless. She's, I was going to say classless. No, that is not the word. She is timeless. So it's a good setup. So let's see what the ladies do. And everyone's walking in and, Bronwyn looks good. A lot of people understood the assignment. And I think I understand what Lisa was trying to do, Tiffany Blue, by wearing that.
Yep. It's not what
but Mary wore it first. And it's not an Audrey Hepburn outfit either. You walked in, and then she's like, well, Mary saw it on the rack at Bergdorf's probably. Like, I saw it first. It doesn't matter who saw it first. Look, we're two morons. We're two idiots. Okay? We even know whoever wears it first, that's who owns the dress.
Yep.
Okay? Now, I know people will do like the who wore it better thing. But at the end of the day, whoever does it first, you're just a copycat thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you are, Lisa. You're a copycat that did not understand the assignment. You're wearing a jumpsuit to an Audrey Hepburn party.
She's in the top 3 of people who have worn that outfit. Because we know 3 people that have worn it. It's those 2 and Gigi Hadid.
There you go. It's the top 3. So, yeah, she's the top 3.
Yep.
And we know what that means.
Yep.
But Heather arrives and completely snubs Bronwyn. To the point where it's like, that's not going to do you any favors. It's not a big moment of, I'm going to stick it to Bronwyn. It's just rude.
Also, bigger issue, she didn't even try to do anything, Audrey Hepburn.
No,
or a fucking white sweater, a white sweater turtleneck. That never. No,
didn't see it. But she literally kisses everybody in the cheek, and just Bronwyn's in the middle and just goes right past her. It's like you're drawing attention to yourself in a negative way. This looks bad on you, not Bronwyn. And this is why Mary is great, and she's having a great season. But she's like, "Did you not kiss Bronwyn?" Like, right? And right Heather's stunned. She's like, "No, nope, I didn't."
But that's what Heather's fearing. That is what Heather is fearful of. Is that Mary notices things. Mary is starting to like Bronwyn, which it takes. Well, we've seen in the past that it takes a long time for Mary to warm up to people. She's warmed up to Whitney, weirdly enough. She is now taking to Bronwyn and pointing things out like that. And Heather doesn't like that. Heather doesn't like that because she has had a very fucking hard time becoming friends with Mary. She's at like an amicable place. But if you're going to do something like that in Mary's house and Mary's going to call you out, you are fucked. That is just case A, point A. This is what's going wrong. You need to stop doing that because you're going to have people that you're afraid of calling you out for your behavior, and you're going to have to explain it. You don't want to be there. You don't want to be in that situation if you're Heather.
But that's what she doesn't think about when she does stuff like this. She doesn't have the foresight to say, how could this go poorly? Who's going to take my side? Do I have backup?
Yep.
You're in Mary's house. Mary likes Bronwyn. And you're also, even if it's not Mary's house, it's somebody else's event. So you don't want to go into somebody else's event and create tension out of the gate. Like I said, it draws attention to you in a negative way. That's not a good way to lead off a party.
Yeah.
So she's already in the crosshairs. I'm glad Mary calls her out, but we sit down to lunch. Britani has a name tag, not there yet, because Mary wanted to let her know I'm not poor. Great.
Yeah,
this will show her because you're clearly not poor because of these beautiful Versace plates, just like the ones Abraham Lincoln had.
Somebody proved that right, apparently. Apparently, Abe Lincoln did have Versace plates.
How?
They're not actually Versace plates, but they look exactly like those plates apparently.
Then that's
that's the inspiration.
Okay.
I don't know. I saw it on Twitter.
Reach.
I didn't dig enough into it, but apparently he had plates that looked like it, and
That's not
Versace tried to do it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not
Versace
debunked.
stole Abraham Lincoln's plates.
Now that's a story.
Versace assassinated Lincoln for his plates. Everybody knows this. Nobody's talking about it. Just like the aliens in the ocean, nobody's talking about it. But that was the real reason that Abraham Lincoln was killed.
Just like Tom Ford assassinated JFK for his suits.
Yep. That's exactly
We all
right.
know it.
So, look, welcome to the Conspiracy Bros.
Let's get Craig on here.
We need Craig in our tinfoil hats for this episode. What I didn't know was that those Versace plates also were Greek.
Sure.
Versace's an Italian company, but hey,
it's Greek.
Angie said they had Greek keys on them or something like that. So that's
sure.
neat.
We'll trust her there.
here's the thing with Mary that I can, or sorry, with Angie that I can appreciate. When we Google it and she realizes that Versace wasn't born yet.
Yeah.
She laughs it off. She's like, oh, whoops. Like, okay, fine. It's a funny moment.
Yeah,
thank you for that. And then we get to run with things like Versace killed Abraham Lincoln.
Correct.
And that's fun for us. So it's all good. But Mary gives a toast. Thanks for coming. Glad you're here. Whatever. Heather decides to chime in. Don't know why. Anytime a housewife builds off of someone else's toast or speech, it never lands. And Heather decides to jump in. She goes, I just want to say thank you for including everybody. It's so nice of you to think about everybody because we know that was not the case for the Palm Desert trip. Not Palm Springs, the Palm Desert trip.
Palm Desert, yeah.
Bruh, you were invited.
Yeah.
Okay? You were invited to the trip, and we're going to talk about it more in a second when we start to really get into it. But at the end of the day, we watched this, and this is where we always get so frustrated here. When we have proof, video evidence of something occurring, and yet we are told that's not what happened.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me that you think that we're stupid, and you don't know that about us. Like, yeah, we are, but you don't know that, and the implication I do not care for. So by saying that, it's like we didn't see what happened. It's like, no, you guys couldn't figure it out because you wanted more out of it and Bronwyn was trying to give you an opening. Yep. I will say, as we talked about, was it the most forthcoming from Bronwyn? No. Like, she's careful with her words intentionally so she doesn't take on the whole blame. Could that have been a misstep on her part? Maybe. But the offer was there. So for you to act like you were completely snubbed and this conversation never happened at Bronwyn's is just invalid. It's not true. It's a goddamn lie. And I'm sick of being told I'm stupid.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. And look, you can play the semantics game all you want and say that Bronwyn invited you over and it was some sort of a circumstantial invitation. If this goes well, then you're invited.
Dinner or whatever.
Yeah, sure. It could have been like that, but that's still an invitation in my book. If you play ball, Bronwyn sort of apologized. If you also sort of apologized, you would have gone. And again, it's a cast trip for a housewife show. You can't sit this out and not expect there to be backlash. You can't sit this out and come back and say, I wasn't invited in the first place, because we watched it. We watched all of it unfold. You were invited. If you had just said, look, let's just bury the hatchet and I'll go. Then you get to go and you get to be part of everything and you get to further your storyline and have a good season. Instead, you're going to be stuck in the mud talking about things that happened weeks ago because you can't get over it because you didn't go on the goddamn trip. And now we have to squash all of this at the end of it. And it's just fucking insane. But getting into, because my theory, and it's not much of a crazy theory, my theory about the first class ticket, return ticket, whatever the hell Brown was talking about. One, I don't really understand that because everybody else had to say, coach, you got Heather a return ticket in first class. That doesn't make much sense. Two, she absolutely just got your fucking information from a producer and she couldn't say it.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
how did you get that? It's like, that's easy.
Sociopath behavior, by the way, not telling anybody your birthday. That is insane.
To say I lied to everyone about it, it's like, that's not something to brag about.
That is worse than everything else that's happening on this show right now. There are a lot of weird things going on this show. You lying to everybody about your birthday is crazy.
It's just weird.
You need to see somebody and talk about that. What is going on? Why could nobody know your birthday? Are
Producer
you
asks
afraid?
her, she's like, none of your fucking business. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah,
dude.
like, are you Ron
Relax.
Swanson on Parks and Rec? Like somebody has to go to Baskin Robbins to figure out what your birthday is so that you can get a free scoop of ice cream. Like, what is going on? Why is that a thing? That is crazy behavior.
I don't know, but it's also crazy to assume that somebody couldn't figure that out and buy you a ticket.
Yeah,
Whether she got her first class or not, I don't know. But she has the receipt.
Mhm.
She has the receipt of the canceled flight. And I also don't think it's crazy for somebody with that amount of money to be like, yeah, I did buy your ticket because I assumed we were going to squash it because why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't we? Yeah.
But again, it has to do with the whole like I'm very cautious thing, and we'll talk about that momentarily because before we get there, Brittany decides to jump in. And I'm not even going to plug Meredith Marks' goddamn caviar, which is in every goddamn scene.
Yep.
And if you guys tried the Meredith Marks caviar, this one's Ostrella, not blah, 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 blah. No, I don't care. I don't care about your caviar. I don't care about it. I'm over your caviar. Leave the caviar out of it. But Brittany asks, who went? 5 of you, 3 of us didn't. And she's all up in arms. She's like, Mary's the only one that has invited me to something, which is a good point because Mary doesn't even like her. Yep. She invited her out of spite to prove that she was rich. But she did actually invite her and called her on the phone for the invite. So she's just feeling very left out and neglected, which is fair.
I
at the same time, Brittany, it's hard to include you when you have these key moments with the girls and you go up to Jared Osmond and say some funny shit, and then you attack them for saying stuff to Jared Osmond. Mm-hmm. They're not going to include you when they're like, well, we can't do anything because you say one thing, then you get mad about it the other week. What are we supposed to do? That's going to get you kicked out of a bunch of trips. But what was confusing to me is her gripe then turns to Angie.
I know.
I was like, where did that come from? She's like, and Angie has the balls to bring wine to my Mormon church thing. It's like, well, for all intents and purposes, you've drank on every single episode. Yep. And now you're bent out of shape about them finding out that you drink because she brought a bottle of wine. She's like, we're Mormon. That's not what we do. And I'm so glad that Angie goes, you're doing 3 guys, you drink, and you're a good Mormon. She's like, I'm not doing 3 guys. It's like, you're dating 3 guys. You are drinking. You're concerned about your church group seeing this. Let me remind you once again, you're on TV. We're watching all of this unfold. We even get to see Jared Osmond, which I don't need to see. No. We're watching all of it. We're watching the drinking, the dudes, and the quote unquote Mormonism out of you. You can be Mormon 2.0 like Lisa. We don't really care. But to stand on your laurels of, I can't believe you'd bring wine to a Mormon party, doesn't make sense to me. And for you to shift the focus of this to Angie, of all people, who came to your thing, Angie hasn't had an event. She had the only event she had, I believe you were invited to. The party that we saw earlier in the year. So she had no say on the Palm Springs trip, which was a couples trip. And what are you going to bring Jared? Like you had no.
I mean, I wish. I think we all do. Fully wish that she did go on the trip, but I understand why she didn't. And we get into her breaking down Todd and Bronwyn's relationship. Of course, I do at least appreciate that she was sitting at the other end of the table saying, I didn't say that. I did say that. I did say that. I didn't say that part, but I did say that. She took ownership of everything. While Bronwyn's going through the Rolodex of all the things that she said about the relationship, she's saying yes and no to every single one. I love that. I appreciate that. That
makes me believe her.
But if she had just stayed on point, you don't need to deviate over to Angie. Stay on point about not being invited to that. Stay on point about them talking about Jared Osmond and all the things that are going on. You could be fine. You can actually have a leg to stand on by saying, Mary doesn't even like me, and she invited me today and called me. You didn't like me. We didn't have a little sit-down conversation, and then you might get more out of Bronwyn. I think Bronwyn would have been able to handle herself against Brittany, though, because she could have just sat there and said, you're not important enough, and I really don't care, and you already said things about me and my husband. Fine, good. That would have been a good little back and forth. But bringing Angie into it is bizarre for the wine. It makes no sense, and now it makes you look worse, but I love it because we talked about the Lisa Barlow brand of delusion. I don't know where Brittany is. Brittany's off the map.
She lives on a different planet.
Yeah, she is off the map. I don't know where she is, but I love every second of it because she's able in this situation to take responsibility for the things that she said while also making a stink about something that really only reflects badly on her. Right. So it's incredible. And she's sitting there so strong, so independent about all of this. And it's making you look worse, but you're not realizing it. And I love every second of it.
It's entertaining to watch. There's
It's
no
awesome.
denying that. It's just so confusing. I'm like, dude, where are you going? Like, what the hell just happened? Like you said, stick to the fact that you got invited.
Yeah.
And the funniest part is that Mary has the biggest bomb of them all, and she's just sitting on it. And I can't wait for, Brittany's going to overstep at the wrong moment because she just doesn't know what to say. And Mary's going to drop this, I hope, at some point. Because
maybe at the reunion it'll come up. I don't think Mary's going to bring it up, though.
Maybe not. I don't know. I want
Jared
her
tells
to.
her, but I don't think Jared's going to tell her.
Well, Jared is sliding into her DMs, and Jared this week went on Instagram to defend it because he texts, and the way that this guy texts is just nauseating. He's like, "Oh, my good, wonderful, holy friend Mary, blah blah." This man is flirting via God.
Beautiful daughter of God.
Beautiful daughter of God. Suck my nuts, pal. Like, it's such a weird stance to take if you're going to use religion to slide into somebody's DMs. Okay. Not only are you using religion to slide into somebody's DMs, you're sliding into someone's DMs that's in the same friend group as this woman that you've been leading on for years. This poor woman in Britani who is never going to see the light. She's never going to figure it out because she's not capable. And you know that, Jared. But why on earth are you sliding into Mary's DMs? Mary's too good for you. She's not going to give in to. She sends back like emojis. You're getting one-lined in response to your bizarre and the way that this guy texts is insane. Anybody that's involved with this guy, run as fast as you can. If you have somebody flirting via paragraph and your response is one letter or emoji and he sends another fucking paragraph, this man is a narcissistic psycho that likes to hear himself talk. And again, Jared Osmond thinks that he's the shit because his last name is Osmond. He was born into the right family in Utah. Okay? He was born into the one major celebrity family in Utah, the Osmonds. And he is clinging on to that for dear life. And why he wanted to go on TV only points to hubris. This man wants to be his own Osmond. He wants to use this to launch his celebrity and be like, I'm important too. It's like, no, you're not, Jared. No one cares about you. No one's heard about you until this show. And now the only public opinion of you is that you're a needy, overbearing, fucking douchebag that preys on women. That's what people think of you now. Now you're in the same boat as Johnny J, which is a horrible place to be. I'm so glad you outed yourself, though, because now any woman that's trying to get involved with you other than like a Britney will know who you are because they can Google you and see these ridiculous text messages and the FaceTimes and the non-responses to FaceTimes. And he FaceTimes again. What a psychopath. Like, I would run.
The only thing I will say is using religion to get laid is by far the fucking funniest thing I've ever seen.
That has to be a straight like ticket to hell. There's no way that's not a first class ticket to hell.
It is so ridiculous. It is so funny to me. I love I just can't. I can't get enough of it.
It's sad, but do you hear how crazy manipulative that is? Like, to use God,
religion to get laid. It is the best thing I've ever heard.
It's insane. Like, that is next level narcissism. Like, you are leaning on the Lord to get some ass. Like, that is problematic. And I'm not even that religious of a person, and I have a problem with that. It's funny, but I think it lays out very black and white who Jared Osmond is and what his priorities are and his morals. He has none. He's using Joseph Smith to get ass. Like, that's astounding. But let's keep on trucking in this Audrey Hepburn dinner, because even Lisa calls out, like, why would you be invited to this trip to Palm Springs? The last time that we had any conversation regarding you and Bronwyn, you went after Todd, and we talked about this a little bit, but she's like, you shit on him. You called Bronwyn a gold digger. You said Todd's gross. You said everybody's thinking it. And that's where she's like, I didn't say that. I did. Yeah, I did say that, which was funny. But Heather, this is it. This is what we're talking about. If you just be you, this is a great time for a one-liner, a funny confessional. This is not a good time for you to be like, well, what about the prenup? It's like, that has nothing to do with what Britani and Bronwyn are doing right now. They're pointing out all the shit that she talked, and she did talk about the prenup, but you're saying, like, you're throwing it out there as, well, you still haven't explained that to us. It's like, does she have to?
No.
Does she really have to? Like, yes, we understand there's an age gap. Yes, we understand that this man has a lot of wealth. Yes, we understand that can raise some questions. Are we going to do this week after week because of an age and a wealth gap? because that gets pretty tiring.
Mhm.
And it's not fun. And it's not fun to pick apart somebody's marriage. If she was this is my big issue, because people that go after marriages always get flattened by the rest of the ladies in the group. Whatever they're going through, if Seth and Meredith are going through some shit and someone else challenges that, it's going to be World War III. But because there's an age and a wealth gap in Bronwyn and Todd, that's fair game. Like, that to me is this weird double standard when it comes to marriages and housewives, where it's like, why is it okay to pick apart Todd and Bronwyn because of that? But if you go after anybody else's marriage in this whole group, especially with these women, it's going to incite so much violence and backlash. So why do we continue to do this? Why do you care if there's a prenup or not? And Heather goes to confession like, this day and age, like, blah, blah, blah. Everyone should have one. It's like, that's not for you. You're not married to the guy. And clearly he didn't need one, or else they would have signed one. Or there'd be talk of a post-nup. Like, there's options here, but stay the hell out of it.
Stay the hell out of it. Just stay the course that you're going on. I don't like that she's bringing in other things that were talked about with Bronwyn.
She should on the Starbucks mugs. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah, like there's just
Todd,
no reason to do any of that. Like, if you have an issue with Bronwyn, stay on that. This is not part of it. You're already at odds. You already have some explaining to do, and you've got some apologizing to do at the end of it, or at least some sort of repairing of a friendship or a potential friendship. You need to do all of those things. Don't start deviating to other things that you have issues with that really don't pertain to you. You have enough going on. You don't need to keep doing this and stoke the fire even more. You need to try to control the fire that's already existing. By doing this, you're just pushing Bronwyn further and further away from you and giving her more ammo to go back after you, because you're bringing up shit that just does not pertain to you. You don't need to do any of this. It's Heather. You just don't need to do this. You can just sit there, have a couple of one-liners, and maybe squash something at the end of this dinner if that's what you really want to do, which it looks like maybe kind of get forced into. Whatever.
Nah, it's that half-assed. It's the same
as
a half-assed thing. At the end of an argument.
We can move on a little bit from it, which is good. You just don't need to do any of this. I just don't understand how she thinks it's a good move.
But the best part of it to me is that in trying to do this, she throws Lisa under the bus.
Oh yeah.
She's like, and you're rude to people on couples trips. And it's like, and I love the Bron's like, cute Lisa. And Lisa's like, cute Lisa, what did I do? It's like, you know exactly what you did. You do this to yourself because you don't understand what happened.
Lisa went into that conversation with Heather before, at least like somewhat less biased, where she was talking a little bit from Bronwyn's experience.
She was less biased because she's assuming that her and Bronwyn are okay now.
Yeah, so that's what she was doing, but she's still spilling so much information. And you have to understand, Heather and Bronwyn are still at odds. So everything that you divulge, all of the information that you talk about is going to get used
it's
again.
All ammunition.
And you're going to get brought back into it. In your eyes, you just got out of it. You just cleared the air with Bronwyn, at least in your eyes. Bronwyn's not. You're sitting there talking about this, giving Heather more information that she can use in her fight against Bronwyn, which, by the way, can only come back to you because we know that you talked to her. So you're going to get brought right back into it. You want to get out of this? You want to move on with your life? You can't keep doing this. It is so funny. And I like that Bronwyn immediately notices that. I know some people are going to be like, leave Lisa out of it. No, you know that that's what happened. Even if Bronwyn's sitting there like, hey, we hugged at the end of that. I still think you're two-faced, but we hugged at the end of that. Why are you going to Heather immediately after this trip and telling her what happened? You don't do that. You're going to get brought right back in. Now I'm going to have an issue with you again. And we're going to start this whole thing over. And the cycle continues because you can't keep your mouth shut.
Correct. And then Lisa's going to be like, why am I getting yelled at? It's like, because you just did this again. You always do it. Somehow it's not your fault. You're going to claim it's not your fault, but you gave Heather the ammo. Heather used it. Mary, of all people, and she does this throughout the entire dinner or lunch or whatever time of day this is the voice of reason, saying like, look, Bronwyn clearly cares that you guys get along. She's clearly trying to put your best foot forward. And that's what's confusing. And that's what we've watched time and time again. It's like, she invited you. Was it a little backhanded? Yeah, but it's housewives. That's how these things go. You know that, Heather. You're involved in it half the time. And in this instance, Mary tries to squash and Heather's like, you didn't invite me and it hurt. It's like, she did, bro. She did invite you. She extended the olive branch, but you had to meet her halfway and you refused to do that. And that's where she brings up the ticket and Heather's like, it's impossible because of this or not. Then Lisa starts bitching about Coach again. She's like, you can't afford it. Then don't. This is insane. Okay, I don't care what you're used to. I don't care that you haven't flown Coach since college. And don't get me wrong. I love that she's bitching about this. It's one of my favorite things from the season so far. It's very like peak Housewives for me. But at the same time, let's break this down objectively. Okay. Private jet there. $20,000 a night house, free dinners, envy. All of this, you didn't pay a dime. This trip for everybody probably cost.
You know what? No, I want private jet back. The whole coach thing is kind of weird. You private jet there, private jet back.
Okay, well then you can go with Lisa. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I agree with Lisa on that.
That's fine. You're an idiot. I'm saying objective. You're speaking in the realm of housewives. I'm saying objectively. Like if you and I went on a trip like this, right?
Well, nobody wants to watch a show about us going on a trip like this.
It has nothing to do with the show. I'm saying this is real life. You're gaslighting.
You're thinking in the wrong way. I'm thinking in the right way. I'm thinking housewives realm. You take private jet there, you take private jet back. Why are we taking coach back?
My God. It's exhausting. You're exhausting. All right.
We're not talking about real.
We still have so much to talk about, and we've been doing this for an hour. And you're going to do this right now? You're going to sideline me like this? Jesus Christ. Let's just keep going because Lisa tries to throw Angie under the bus now. Again, video evidence, Lisa. We've seen it. We watched it. She's like, Angie, you had a problem with it too. And Angie's like, whoa. No, I didn't. She's like, yeah, you did. You said, how are you getting back, Lisa? Because we're flying coach. Roll the tape. She says, I'm in 18A. Where are you? There's probably not any first class tickets left. That's all she said. She didn't say another word against it. She didn't talk shit about it. She saw it as a free ticket home on a 1 hour. This is one of those flights that when you get up in the air, they serve you one drink and you're already starting the descent. This is not a reason to get up in arms unless you're Shooter Magooter. But like I said, roll the tape. Angie gets exonerated from this whole thing. And again, just fucking be Heather. Don't do this, especially because you weren't on the trip. She goes, well, if it doesn't matter where you sit, then why did you and Todd sit first class? Because they bought the tickets.
Yeah.
They bought the tickets. That's why.
Trip. Yep.
That's
her goddamn credit card.
It's that simple. It doesn't have to be any deeper than that. Like they bought the tickets. If they want to zhuzh it up for themselves, by all means, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it was shade, by the way. Maybe we'll find out down the road that Bronwyn had first class for everybody and Lisa ruined it. That would be even funnier if everyone else gets punished because Lisa was being an asshole. I'm all for that. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to be like, why are you sitting first class? It's like, why do you think she paid for the tickets? Do you think Lisa doesn't sit coach? Do you think Todd sits coach?
No.
Never. No shot. He's probably got enough miles to pay for first class for the rest of his life without having to buy a ticket.
Yep.
Which is that goddamn rich get richer. It's a whole different thing. Don't get me started on that one. But this is where Bronwyn kind of stands out to me, especially as far as newcomers go and just housewives on this show, because we do live in a land of delusion in Salt Lake. Bronwyn doesn't really. She's a little bit more real. And I appreciate her brand of housewife because she calls everything out. And I love when people call out the games that other people play.
Yeah.
Because it always stymies them. They're always like, "Wow, what do I do now?" Like that's what I'm doing. And you just told everybody what I'm doing. And that makes me uncomfortable because she says, I see what Heather does. She just spins everything. No matter what I say, she's going to find fault in it. And we literally watch it happen in real time. She's like, no matter what, I can tell you, Heather, that I want to move on. I want to figure this out. And immediately Heather's like, yeah, well, you want to do it because, blah, and spins it. She's like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yep. You just proved my point. And we get the Monica defense, which is not going to work. It's not going to play well. It doesn't play well for me. I know it doesn't play well for you. She's like, look, I'm fiercely defensive of our friendships because of everything that last year happened. And I'm cautious of new people. And to be left out, it really hurt my feelings. Bruh, you were not left out. Okay, you couldn't swallow your pride and meet halfway. Was it a backhanded apology? Yeah. Was it an apology? Yes. Could you have gone? Yes. So don't play hurt puppy dog. I couldn't go on the trip. You were invited on the trip. You didn't want to go on the trip. It's a different thing. It's a different thing entirely.
I would have honestly almost appreciated a little bit more if Heather had played the card of, oh, this was a couple's trip and what, I get like uninvited or I have to like earn my invite because I'm not a couple. Like do that then. That would actually be new material. At least you can lean on that and people might be like, oh yeah, maybe they didn't really think about Heather that much. And then you probably would have had Britani chime in from the other side saying the same thing. That would have been funny. You could have done a lot of different things here, but leaning on this and saying that it's because of the people that you've let into your friend group before and you need to be fiercely defensive of everybody. It's bullshit. Nobody cares. They're all grown-ups. They're all adults at this table that can think on their own. We don't need you to sit here and facilitate who can and can't come into the group. By the the way, it's a housewife show. There's something called casting. Bronwyn was casted to be a housewife. There's no like initiation period, at least that we know of necessarily. You need to figure out how to assimilate into the group for sure, but you don't need to go to everybody individually and be like, hey, we can be friends, we can be friends, we can be friends. That's just not how these shows work. And you've been on this show for long enough that you need to be able to separate reality TV from real life. Yes, maybe in a real group of friends, you can be defensive because you guys have gone through so much. This is a fucking TV show. It's just not how it works. And nobody's ever going to sit there and be like, wow, that really resonated with me. She's a good friend. She's defending her friends. No, it's bullshit. It's a cop-out. It's stupid.
No, I agree. I agree entirely. But there's a loose agreement to work on it. Heather, they have this kumbaya moment. Yep. And like, all right, we'll try to figure this out. Like, I'm open to it. Again, because it's housewives, fine. Let's see where it goes. If it's real life and I'm Bronwyn, I'm like, dude, no, we're done.
Yeah.
But hopefully that they're able to try to move forward and this can be in the past because it's
talking about it.
It's running its course. It's done at this point.
We're done with it now. If it continues, we're going to be annoyed by it. But right now, it has run its course.
Correct. I agree. But Britani,
love it. This is my favorite part.
This is so good. She's like, well, what the hell? She goes, you guys are having a kumbaya moment. Why can't I have a sit down? It's like, you could have.
We forgot you were here.
You could have. You could have jumped. Everyone's airing their grievances.
Yeah.
And Mary says it. She goes, you're sitting down. You can talk. And she's like, okay, I will. So she takes it upon herself to have her own forced kumbaya moment. She's like, okay, fine. I'm sorry for saying those things about Todd. I feel better now.
That's pretty much it.
Bronwyn didn't accept your apology. She's like, Bronwyn's like, cool, thanks. Like, are you actually sorry? Or is this just, are you just saying it? She goes, I'm really sorry. Here's the thing. Anybody else says that? I'm like, no, you're not. Britani says it. I'm like, she probably is. This is probably good enough.
She probably is. Look, Britani, as far as the steps of an apology go, she took ownership for the things that she said. Bronwyn went through everything that she said. She agreed to half of them, said, I didn't say those things. I believe her. I'm not going to go back and watch the tape because she was able to say, yeah, I did say that. Yeah, I did say that. I'm not going to go nitpick that because I appreciate that you did say, yes, I did say those things. And now you're saying that you feel sorry. Bronwyn's response is very funny because it just shows how little Bronwyn thinks of Britani, though. It's like, are you really doing that? Or does everybody just force you to apologize to me? It's like, no, I am sorry. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. Yeah, cool.
Fine.
All right, great. We're in a really good place, guys, right? Everybody's friends again. She's the best. She is the best.
She's on her own planet. She lives in her own world. And like, genuinely though, like I've never seen anything like it, but Meredith decides that it's her turn to air out some grievances and brings it up to Angie. She's like, I'm still pretty hurt. You brought up my child, and other people have pointed this out as well. Brooks is 24 years old.
Yep.
He's not a kid. I get it. You're always defensive of your children. I understand that. I appreciate that. She's not yelling about a 13-year-old.
No.
And Shawn, we already have said, like, yeah, no, you shouldn't have gone on the podcast. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. Last year would have made more sense when you had to defend yourself. This is a little too late down the road. But again, Brooks is 24.
Yep.
All right. It's not like she's disparaging your child. He's an adult at this point. But this is what Meredith does. It's what she always does, always has done, and seemingly always will do. She's like, you want to go backwards. Well, technically, Meredith, you do too, because you want an apology for something that happened in the past, but that's neither here nor there. I can move past that. But what you do is you say things like, if you want to go backwards, it's not going to be pretty for anybody. If you say that to me, that's a threat. You're threatening me. You're saying I have some stuff because I caught up on my DMs.
Yep.
And now I've got some dirt. So if you want to do this, it's not going to be pretty. I'm going to throw some shit out there you're not going to like. So Angie, understandably so, takes it as a threat. And Meredith's like, it's not a threat. Oh, here we go again. Like, everyone's attacking me. And she spirals, but it's like, you started it. You threatened her. And now you're acting like it wasn't a threat because you're saying, I don't want to do that. It's the implication. You implied it. The implication's enough.
Yeah, the implication is more than enough. And I also did not need you to start playing the fucking podcast on your phone.
Dude.
Look, I will say Whitney grabbing her phone, if anybody did that to me while I was playing it. No, absolutely not, Whitney. Don't fucking do that. And look, I love
your phone out there.
I love that Whitney sat there and was like, I'm just trying to play the fucking volume, like turn the volume up. Meredith got really scared. Don't you go scrolling. Don't go scrolling.
Really defensive.
I've got more things. because that's probably something that she just screen recorded so that she could have it right
That's
at that
burn
moment.
book. She has a burn book folder.
And she's got more in there for sure. So that's why she didn't want her to scroll. That says to me, you've got more shit in there. You can't see those DMs. You got to have those all caught up. But I love it because Meredith just starts going into it. And it's like, why? Like, why are we doing this? You don't have to go this like defensive over it. Just talk about it. We've already talked about it 6 times at this point. We know how you feel. We know how Angie feels. We know how Shawn feels. We can bury it and just say, look, let's just move forward. It was kind of bad on both parts. Yeah, whatever. That's where it is. But Meredith has to do it and go through all of those steps so that she feels a little bit better. And this is something that she just kind of buried herself in, because you don't do that. You know how close Mary and Angie are. You're in Mary's house. We talked about this earlier with Heather and Bronwyn. You're in Mary's house. Mary's going to defend her friend. She tried to do a pretty good job of getting you both to stop. But at the end of the day, she's going to side with Angie. And that's what's going to happen. That's the reality. So I like that that's what happened. Meredith getting up and leaving at the first sign of get out of my house. It's like, all right, fine, I will. It's like, that's because you can't go further than this. You know that nothing is going to happen. You're not going to be able to get into the clear. So you're just going to get your jacket and leave. It's like, whatever.
She wasn't even making any sense.
No.
Like, Angie brings up evidence. She's like, you know, when you brought up the rumor, you didn't say it, but you said, you want to talk about the husbands? I can talk about the husbands. That's a threat. You're threatening that you have information. You are the one that brought that whole thing to light, whether you want to believe it or not. Like, that started the speculation of what is this damning rumor. And the damning rumor, as Meredith knew, was that Shawn was hooking up with dudes in Salt Lake. You're the one that started this whole conversation. If you can just understand, like, oh, I see how that could be a threat. That's all you have to say, and then apologize for it. But instead, you're like, all you do, Angie, is deny, deny, deny. She's like, deny what? What are you talking about? You're not making any sense. Mary steps in and says, yo, everybody that's yelling, if you're going to do this, get out of my house. Meredith's like, oh, I was asked to leave. It's like, no, you weren't. That was an empty threat of shut up or get out. And you took it as, no, I'm hurt. You hurt my feelings. You're kicking me out of your house. This is so rude. It always comes down to me. Everyone always yells and picks on me. And she storms out. And I will say flat out, the Meredith Marks shtick is getting tired.
It is. It really
I'm tired of it. Sit there and take it. Have some actual evidence. Don't hold your phone out of a podcast that they've all probably heard already. And then you panic because Whitney grabs your phone and is about to unearth God knows what on there.
I know.
Like, you didn't do yourself any favors. And the fact that your fight or flight response every time is flight after you talk some shit, but you can't back it up, does not play well. It's not playing well for you as a housewife. She's at the bottom of my list right now. She's not performing well. It's entertaining because it's like, what are you doing? And like not making a whole lot of sense, but it's just not working. It's not working. And playing that whole thing of you hurt my feelings and then you bounce, like, doesn't work for me. But
not on this show.
But it ends with just, of course, it has to end with a great Mary moment. She's had a great season and a great episode. And she's like, say goodbye to the bangs. The bangs are gone. This is an Audrey Hepburn party, not the Flintstones. I'm like, that's exactly it. She looked like Pebbles. You got good call, Mary. But all in all, great episode. Just very good. Let's get to some questions.
Very good.
Shooter's gotta up the drinking intake because we're getting close to the afternoon and the Birds game's in like 5 hours.
Oh yeah. All right. Interesting start here from the Bravo investigator. Are Heather and Lisa seeing something in Bronwyn that we aren't? I don't think so. I think that
they're trying to.
Yeah, I think Heather definitely is trying to. I think Lisa's just being Lisa, and it's very cyclical with her. They'll be in a better place towards the end, and they'll probably fall apart again. So that's probably what's going to happen. I think it's just Heather trying too hard, honestly.
I agree. I'm just being frank, does anyone actually care about Britani? Not even Heather jumped in for no, they don't.
I don't think they do.
They don't. We do because she's so fun to watch. But no, I think that she's such a bizarro wild card that it's hard to get on her team because you don't really know what you're defending. I don't think Britani knows what she's defending half the time. So
from Rachel Ray, is the only reason Heather accepted the apology was because everybody else was around. Yes. I do think that if it was a one-on-one, we already saw a one-on-one with these two. If we saw another one, I don't think she accepts the apology. I think she just kind of gives her the runaround and does it again. But with everybody there, you got to make good, show face and make good with everybody else.
Yeah, I agree. This is a good point. From 2000s days, do you think Meredith overreacted because she's upset about Mary and Angie's friendship? I definitely think that's a factor.
That's a
I know that
possibility. Yeah.
Meredith and Mary were friends, so I think that a lot of what's happening in regards to Angie, in regards to Bronwyn, is that the old guard is getting upset because they feel threatened by some of the newcomers, and not a great look. Jealousy's not a great color.
Jealousy's not a good color.
Let's do a couple more. From Airpick 33, does anyone else think Lisa Barlow is thirsty to ride on Bronwyn's very expensive coattails? Yes, she is.
I did for a while. I'm not so sure anymore, but
I think she
I think
is. But
there's a little jealousy in there, of course, but
I think you could argue for both sides. I think, at the end of the day, she's always going to be enamored with the uber wealthy.
Yep.
But I do think that at the end of the day as well, Lisa does not like to be challenged. Like, you have to be on her page or else you can kick rocks. And I think that supersedes anything else, even wealth. So I think that if push comes to shove, if Bronwyn can't get on Lisa's same page, then it doesn't matter how much money she has.
Yeah. We'll do one more here from Marissa and Palma. Better or worse theme, Marilyn or Audrey?
I don't think you can go wrong with either of those.
I say Audrey's better, just because we get
Audrey's better.
We get the bangs.
You do get the bangs, but I think you're talking about two just timeless,
classless, timeless,
classless. I almost let that slip. That is not the case.
Not how he feels.
Just timeless, effortless.
Beautiful.
That's what the word was. Yeah, I think you can't go wrong with either of those themes. But that wraps us up for. We're going to do another quick intro
for RHOSLC.
This is an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So just bear with me here.
Mm-hmm.
But that wraps up this 2-part mega RHOSLC episode on this beautiful football Sunday. And we have the time to do it because the Birds play tonight. So we thought we'd bang this out, get you guys some content out of the gate. And we're going to overload the front of this week because we all have holiday plans. We want you to have some traveling content. And like I said, some nap content for depending on what time of day you eat Thanksgiving dinner, we don't have to get back into that whole thing, but yeah, happy Thanksgiving week, everybody. And you got anything else?
Nope.
Well, Rob Bros are out of here.
Bye.
It's going to be